Well, here we are again on another Monday morning, and what a difference a weekend makes. So stocks are way up again this morning after being way off all as a sum total last week. And Tesla is way back in the green, up around $8 the last time I checked. So we'll see what happens as the day progresses. Maybe we'll be up 10 or 20 on Tesla, or maybe we'll end the day in the red. I mean, I don't think it's very predictable right now. The market seems to be enthusiastically looking forward to Wednesday when the CPI report comes out, maybe thinking that it will be neutral. That would be the right answer. We don't want it to be too crazy in either direction. But that's what the market seems to be thinking this morning, if the market can be conceived of thinking. Anyway, Sir Basher says this morning that Tesla's rolling returns. He says, how long do you need to invest in Tesla in order to avoid losing money? Turns out it's 6 years. Yep, 6 years. Just 6 years, he says. Since Tesla's June 29, 2010 IPO, there have been zero rolling 6-year time periods using daily returns that have been negative. In other words, every investor who has owned Tesla for at least 6 years has made money, even the investors who had terrible timing. I should add an important caveat to this statement he just made. He says, every investor who has owned Tesla for at least 6 years has made money, even the investors with bad timing, since the all-time high of the stock was on November 4th. 6 years have not passed. So those of you who bought it at the all-time high or bought it around the all-time high need to wait 6 years. This is the key. So that's one of those stats that nobody else is talking about. It's up to Sir Basher to come up with that kind of stuff. Sawyer Merritt says this morning, Tesla supplier Panasonic has announced it has finalized prep for the mass production of 4680 batteries in the factory in Japan. Panasonic's renovated plant in the western prefecture of Wakayama will be the main factory for producing those cells. Clean Technica out this morning says that Tesla Model Y is back on top of BEV sales and the overall market in Germany. As usual, these seem to have more to do with Germany's changing scheme for incentives than just BEV preference, as hybrids had a horrible month. Well, there's some good news. I'm not against hybrids. I just don't understand hybrids. I don't understand why they're a thing. Well, I understand I'm sorry. Let me say that differently. I understand why they are a thing, given that consumers don't have 100% of the information that they need to make a wise choice. I don't fully understand why overall we need this transitional product and why we need a product that have two different drivetrains when BEVs now are so inexpensive. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Okay. From Jan Rose now. This is somebody I have not quoted before. I don't remember doing it anyway. JANROS. So maybe it's Jan Rose now. Anyway, the headline, this is a huge achievement. The EU now generates more electricity from wind and solar than from fossil fuels. Now, let me say, that is a one-source report. I'm not 100% sure that that's true. I will keep my eyes open for validation in other places. But we do know that some of the countries there are now, well ahead on wind and solar compared to their fossil fuels, and others are moving that way quickly. Sawyer Merritt says this morning, car sales is a name of a magazine in Australia, Car Sales. It is the #1 car website, online magazine. It has awarded Tesla the Model Y rear-wheel drive as the very best family EV in 2024, and the Model 3 rear-wheel drive as the very best city car in 2024, city car EV. He says, they say of the Model 3, the Tesla Model 3 was the car that changed the EV world and reinvigorated interest in mid-size sedans. Enter the updated model in late 2023, and it continued that momentum with a 4-door that sets the benchmark for its class. Of the Model Y, it says, mid-sized SUVs are where so many car makers focus their efforts because it's where so many of the buyers gravitate. But there is one that stands out among the rest, and that is the Model Y. We couldn't agree more. This is from AJ. A couple of things from AJ this morning. He says, number one, regarding Tesla's China sales, many will know this already, but from here, September until November, Tesla should easily beat the year-on-year comparison since last year suffered from a temporary unavailability from a refresh of the Model 3. Also, Elon Musk has said over the weekend, he said the Shanghai plant is at max capacity. They're pumping out as many cars as they possibly can. And then AJ goes on another post this morning to say this Tesla credit sales will go to all-time highs, according to him. Tesla credit sales came in at an all-time high of 890 million in the second quarter. He estimates conservatively that third quarter credit sales will come in at still a strong 700 million. He says, other manufacturers are cutting back on their EV activity, so Tesla will just benefit from that. And then finally, also from AJ, VW Group currently trades near the post-Great Financial Crisis low. So VW share price is down 64% from its all-time high. Well, Barron's this morning, apparently, I'm noticing now that Barron's is attempting to put out a daily report on why they think Tesla is moving in any given direction. And I've checked out in like the last 3 days, and pretty much Barron's puts out this article, and then they throw their hands up and go, we don't know, actually, here's a maybe possibility, but that doesn't seem like a good reason. What they should do is they should call me, right? I'll tell them why it's going up or why it's going down. I'm sure I can give them some reasons. In particular, this morning, I think it's going up this morning because it went up so much last week before it went down so much last week. So therefore, it is now bargain hunting again, and people are buying it again because Tesla is a swing stock. And I understand swing stocks. I've been doing swing stocks my entire investing life. I love that particular category. And it swings sometimes for almost no reason other than, who knows, like options. And again, a whole bunch of people going, okay, it's a bargain now. I'm getting in and I'll probably get out in 2 days and make some money. That's how Tesla works. Wall Street Journal. Trump says that he would ask Musk to run a government efficiency commission. We know about that, the DOGE, the Department of Governmental Efficiency. Eyes are understandably glazed over at the sound of a commission, which is usually intended to duck a hard issue. The purpose in this case seems to be the opposite, to discover and highlight the countless ways the government doesn't work well and suggest how to do tasks better, or perhaps not at all. We know that. The best process is no process, is best product, no product, etc. I will create, says Trump, a government efficiency commission tasked with conducting a complete financial and performance audit of the entire federal government. He added that in the first order of business, this commission will develop an action plan to totally eliminate fraud and improper payments within 6 months. Now, that is a typical thing that every politician almost says every election cycle. And he says that'll save trillions of dollars. I'm sure it could if it really, really went in and did the job. He says the Wall Street Journal says there's no doubt a huge amount of this could be saved by fixing loopholes and programs that fight fraud. For instance, it says the government paid tens of billions in fraudulent unemployment benefits and paycheck protection grants during the pandemic. We know about that. Lots of headlines. But there are countless other programs that run on autopilot with little evidence that they yield any results, like the Department of Education, which has been in business now for about 40 years, and education in the United States has collapsed as a quality venture. Does anyone think the federal job training works? Or how about the Job Corps? Maybe the Pentagon procurement office. Mr. Trump said that the restless Mr. Musk volunteered for the job, and he does seem well suited for it. His SpaceX has demonstrated how a private business can do better than NASA in sending rockets into space. He's seen the waste and inefficiency in government firsthand, and he could no doubt call on many people from the private economy to help. I'm thinking Vivek Ramaswamy and Chamath. I'm not going to try it. Anyway, the shame is that the U.S. hasn't taken a detailed look at the routine follies of government in detail. This is the point that this article really makes well. Ronald Reagan used to quip the closest thing to eternal life is a government program. An old Washington joke told of the agriculture department worker who was asked why he was so unhappy. And he said, "My farmer died." So the last serious look at government was at the Grace Commission established by the greatest president of the 20th century, Ronald Reagan. It doesn't say that. I added that. The commission led by Peter Grace made 2,478 recommendations to save $424 billion over 3 years and $1984. Imagine what that is today. That would be like $4 trillion. And 115 immediately as by the administration without having to get Congress to act at all. Not everything was implemented, but a lot of it was. All right. Also this morning, the Polaris Down is now scheduled to go off tomorrow morning after the weather has been interrupting its launch since last, I think, Thursday or Friday, maybe even earlier than that. Anyway, the Polaris Dawn is the manned mission that is going to include the first ever private spacewalk. Did I mention this is Randy Kirk? And you should like this video, then you subscribe, and then you should hit notify, and then you should hit down below, you should go to the description and you should hit Patreon, and then you should gladly, with a glad heart, send $3, $5, $10, or even $50 my way to help out the channel and help to produce what we do here every day. All right, Brian White will be on later today. Larry Goldberg in the late afternoon, talking about all the good news that took place. I know Brian White and I think we're going to be talking about possibly a bunch of patents that were revealed over the weekend. Yeah, I think that's gonna be a lot of fun. Really good stuff if you like the techie side of things. All right, this morning from Fortune magazine, the dog days of summer. This is the good news division. No, yes, the good news. The dog days of summer are usually bad months for the stock market, and that's playing out this year. Early last month saw stocks tumble as U.S. economic data raised fears of a recession and proved that we are in recession. And the yen carry trade unwound, and as September began, the S&P 500 had its worst week in a year and a half. But on the flip side, that sets up the final months of this year that typically see big rebounds. According to Bespoke Investment Group, October has historically been the month where the biggest stock market surges have begun. So September likely down, beginning of October, maybe continuing down. I think that's what I just said last night. So I think September is not going to be good, 10 to 20% down for the S&P, and that might continue into October. And then we start the rebound. Maybe as we get close to the election, if there's some certainty, but maybe not. Maybe we get into November. Maybe we have to wait till the election's over before we really begin to see the rebound. Anyway, this article goes on to say, this should make sense intuitively, given that August and September have historically been weak months, and the market always has eventually bounced back from sell-offs. Of course it has. By its tally, there have been 61 rallies or 10% or more since World War II, and 19 of those started in October. 19 out of 61. That would be about 1/3 in one single month of the year. That's what the article goes on to say. I beat it to it. Similarly, Ned Davis research said the stock market is likely to stage a persistent ascent that will be supported by seasonal trends in the fourth quarter. Namely, October through December is typically the year's strongest 3-month period. December is when we usually get the so-called Santa Claus rally that takes place as the seasonal cheer, optimism about the year ahead, a slow news cycle, and thin trading volumes often translate into rising stocks. You also have, of course, the certainty in this particular year we will know who's going to be president. So far, several key market fundamentals have held up. While job growth has slowed, economists point to low unemployment claims, robust corporate earnings, strong GDP readings and estimates, upbeat retail sales, and rising wages, rising too fast, too much. Jay Hatfield, CEO of Infrastructure Capital Advisors, said in a note Friday that the latest jobs report is still consistent with a growing economy and validates his S&P target of 6,000, implying an 11% upside from here. Don't think so by the end of this year. I think we could certainly see 6,000 by the end of the first quarter of 2025. That assumes that the November election will result in divided government, which of course is the best for the market and usually best for the overall economy. He also thinks that not only will the economy avoid a recession, it won't even slow towards a soft landing. It's already done that and is in a recession. Well, that's Randy's analysis. We continue to believe that there will be no landing at all in the U.S. economy as the bond market has already cut rates for the Fed. So this was talked about last November. It was like, okay, the Treasury bonds were already radically down, even though the Fed hadn't moved. Finally, the Fed decided not to move. The bonds came back a bit. Now the bonds are moving down again, although this morning they've popped up unless things have changed since I looked just a few minutes ago. Okay, let's take a look at where markets are right now. We have Tesla up $8.36. That's about the best for the day, right around the top for the day, up $8.36. We got the Dow Jones up 410, NASDAQ up 149, S&P up 40, almost $46, 46 points. We have got Apple down $1.98. So today we've got the Apple event. The market is down in advance of this event. People, I think, are nervous. Apple needs to hit a home run today. Well, okay, a triple, at least a triple today, or it's probably going to be down tomorrow. So, we'll be watching. Interest on Apple is not only what they will do with AI with regard to their next iteration, but also, is it really useful? Is it something very beneficial, or is it something not so much? And if it is a disappointment, this could impact all of the AI stocks because people are nervous about the AI stocks. All right, going down, you've got the rest of the Mag 7 doing pretty well this morning. NVIDIA up 2 and Microsoft up 2+, and Meta up 7, Amazon up almost 3. So good news for the rest of the Magnificent 7. And then you've got the Cathie Woods all up except for TDOC, which is basically flat. All right, let's do the percentages. The Dow up 1 full percent, NASDAQ up almost 1 full percent, 0.91, S&P up 0.88, and Tesla up 4% at $219.15, $8.50. We'll go back, of course, one more time and check what is happening there before we leave. All right, we have got the 10-year. Well, okay, so the 10-year was the yield was up a couple of points earlier. Now it's moving back towards 0. It's only up a half a basis point right now. 0.7 of a basis point just changed. 3.717. The 2-year is up 1.9 basis points at 3.669, but still below the 10-year. That's where we want it to be. We got the 2-month down this morning, 0.5 of a basis point, but still about a million points, about a million basis points higher than the 10-year. Oil this morning. Oh my goodness, that was not good. There we go. Let's go to oil. We have got oil up 27 cents. So we're really going to try hard. A lot of people saying that oil is going to continue down. It's at 67.91 right now. Brent at 71.20. At the way we're going, Brent could even be under 70, having a 6 handle. We'll see what happens. Natural gas is down 4.22. Natural gas being extremely volatile. Maybe natural gas is always volatile. I've never paid a lot of attention to natural gas until maybe the last 8 months, but natural gas down 4.22% after being way up on Thursday and Friday. A lot of volatility in natural gas. Gold up $2, 2,526. So the 2,500 to 2,560 has been the range recently. Silver up 1.25%. Nice move this morning, 28.53. Copper also up 1.22 at 4.122. I've said that number about 1,000 times for copper, 4.122. That's about, I feel like that's where copper always is. But of course it's not. It moves around a lot. Okay, we've got the dollar recovering against the yen just a bit, 0.30%, and down against the euro by 0.40%. We have got the Bitcoin recovering a bit, 552 this morning at 54,924, still very much in the doldrums. All right, so let's go back and look at Tesla one last time. Up, dropping down now to only up $7. Apple continuing down 254. The market overall has tipped over. Don't know why, but all of the markets, including the Dow a little less, but the NASDAQ has tipped down quite a bit. S&P also tipping down. So yeah, if I look down the row, everything has hit a top this morning. Is that profit taking? Was there some news? Wholesale inventories came out this morning. I didn't get a chance to get those, but I don't think that would, unless it was just a crazy number, but maybe there's been some other news. Maybe somebody's made a statement or something. I don't know any reason, but the market definitely has softened. Let's say that the top has crested and the NASDAQ has crested the most. All right, remember to hit like and subscribe and notify, and then Brian White later today. Yesterday, what did you miss yesterday that I should really recommend you go back and check out? Well, yesterday morning, I did explain why I believe Tesla's headed to 700 with the caveat Tesla FSD has to be level 5. I mean, it has to be Elon Musk in the back seat driving all over town, the car driving all over town with Elon in the back seat. I mean, it has to be Elon saying it is 100% now. If it's on FSD, then we pay the bill if the car causes an accident. It has to be at that level, okay? It has to be unsupervised. Take away the word supervised. If we hit that issue, if that's the truth, or if FSD robotaxi is a real thing and people are taking rides in cars without drivers, then we go to 700. That's the caveat. You got to keep that in mind. It's got to be some clarity, but I do explain all of that in that, and I'll put that card right here in case you'd like to go back and see how I got to that number. All right, that is all I got for you right now. It has been great talking to you.